All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome, engineering leaders, to today's Explainer. We're setting out to provide an objective, comprehensive masterclass on navigating the modern GitHub ecosystem. Whether you're budgeting for a high-growth startup or managing a massive enterprise engineering org, understanding the true cost and the actual security posture of your version control platform is absolutely crucial. So, we're going to strip away all the marketing speak and look strictly at the data, the pricing structures, and the competitive landscape exactly as it stands today in 2026. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the state of GitHub. Then, GitHub versus Bitbucket. Third, we'll decode those GitHub pricing tiers. Fourth, add-ons and hidden costs. And finally, number 5, top security best practices. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the state of GitHub, and unpack the sheer scale of the platform. Just to put this platform's massive footprint into perspective, GitHub has grown to a staggering 150 million users. Think about that for a second. Those developers are collectively managing over 420 million repositories. In just a single recent year, the platform processed over 5 billion developer contributions across more than 500 million open source projects. It's the world's largest source code host, literally acting as the backbone of the internet as we know it today. Crazy enough, it wasn't always this massive enterprise juggernaut. If we quickly trace its evolution, GitHub actually started back in 2008 as a scrappy little startup built on Ruby on Rails by a small group of founders. But the real inflection point, that arrived a decade later in 2018, when Microsoft acquired the platform for a mind-boggling $7.5 billion. That acquisition fundamentally shifted GitHub's trajectory, propelling us right into 2021 and beyond, what we can firmly call the AI era. And that era is entirely defined by the aggressive rollout of Copilot and some seriously advanced automation tools. Moving right along to Section 2, GitHub versus Bitbucket, and how to choose the right platform. You know, the fundamental divide between these two giants historically comes down to their initial target audiences. GitHub thrives on making code incredibly easy to share. It's the undisputed de facto standard for open source communities and public projects. Basically, if you're building an open source tool, you are on GitHub. Bitbucket, on the flip side, historically carved out its niche by prioritizing private repositories for businesses. That made it super attractive to enterprise users who were hyper-focused on internal proprietary development. When you put them side by side, the structural differences are crystal clear. Now, both platforms are exclusively Git-based today. Bitbucket actually officially dropped its support for Mercurial back in 2020, but their integration strategies completely diverge. GitHub offers this vast, generalized marketplace that connects to almost anything. Bitbucket, because it's an Atlassian product, offers deep, native integrations right into tools like Jira and Trello. So if your organization is already heavily entrenched in the Atlassian ecosystem for issue tracking, Bitbucket is going to offer a really seamless experience. All right, let's talk money. Section 3, decoding GitHub pricing tiers, specifically looking at the base subscription. So here are your base organizational tiers. The free plan is honestly remarkably generous. You get unlimited private repositories and 2,000 CI/CD minutes right out of the gate. But let's be real, growing teams will inevitably hit a wall and need to bump up to the team plan at $4 per user per month. Why? Because you absolutely need to enforce basic collaboration rules. We're talking protected branches and requiring multiple reviewers on pull requests to maintain your code quality. Finally, large companies are practically forced up to the $21 per user per month enterprise plan. At scale, centralized user management through SAML single sign-on and advanced audit logs, those aren't optional perks. They are strict compliance requirements. And this brings us to a massive source of friction for engineering managers everywhere. It happens all the time. An individual developer pays for a personal pro account and just assumes they suddenly have advanced administrative powers inside your company's codebase. Well, spoiler alert, they don't. If your organization wants to use protected branches or mandate code reviews, the organization itself has to be paying for the team or enterprise plan. Individual upgrades simply do not trickle up to the org level. Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, add-ons and hidden costs. Or as we like to call it, the pricing iceberg. This is where we hit the submerged, really dangerous part of that pricing iceberg. Notice how rapidly a single developer's monthly cost multiplies when you start stacking the essential tools that modern teams actually rely on. Say you're on the $4 team plan. Okay, not bad. You add Copilot Business to give them some AI assistance, boom, that's $19. You add secret protection, another $19. You add code security, that's another $30. Suddenly, your $4 per developer base cost has ballooned to $72 a month. We also have to explicitly call out the massive 2026 pricing change regarding security. GitHub Advanced Security is no longer a single neat bundle. It was unbundled into two separate pricey SKUs. Secret Protection, which catches unstructured secrets like passwords living in your code, is $19 per active committer. Code Security, which scans for vulnerabilities before they ship, is $30. And pay very close attention to that billing model. It's based on active committers. You pay for every single developer who pushes code to a repo where these features are active. This means your invoice can fluctuate wildly from month to month depending on who is actually writing code. Oh, and the variable billing doesn't stop there. Leaders must rigorously monitor usage analytics for GitHub's metered services. If your automated testing burns through your free allotment of GitHub Actions minutes, you're paying extra. If your binaries exceed your GitHub Packages storage limit, you get billed. And if your team adopts GitHub Codespaces for cloud-based development, you're looking at variable compute charges of 18 cents an hour plus storage. Without careful monitoring, these usage-based fees can result in some severe sticker shock at the end of the month. Furthermore, beyond the actual software invoices you get from Microsoft, there are completely hidden operational costs that can easily drain your engineering budget. Things like moving an entire legacy codebase from GitLab or Bitbucket over to GitHub, that is a massive migration effort that completely halts future work. Training developers on complex enterprise workflows takes precious time. And if you choose to run GitHub Enterprise Server on-premise for regulatory reasons, you are entirely responsible for the server costs, the maintenance overhead, and applying all of those critical security patches yourself. All right, let's head into the final stretch. Section 5, Top Security Best Practices for Protecting Your Repositories. So here's the reality. Just buying security add-ons is not a strategy. It's a purchase. To establish active security protocols, taking a look at Cloudinary's cheat sheet for GitHub security best practices is a great place to start. This comprehensive breakdown provides a stark reminder that securing an enterprise environment requires diligent, active mitigation strategies. It involves strict access controls, vigilant testing of pull requests, and ensuring every single contributor adheres to a strict standard, rather than just crossing your fingers and relying on the platform's default out-of-the-box settings. Let's break this down into a highly concrete checklist you can apply to your teams today. Step 1. Always include a security.md file in your projects. This gives ethical hackers a defined policy on how to disclose vulnerabilities to you safely. Step 2. Mandate two-factor authentication across your entire organization. Absolutely no exceptions. Step 3. Periodically rotate SSH keys and personal access tokens to mitigate damage if a laptop is ever compromised. And Step 4. Absolutely forbid storing credentials as code. Use environment variables in your CI/CD pipelines and use dedicated secret managers like Vault in production. Well, we have covered a ton of ground today: the incredible scale, the competitors, the hidden costs, and the truly vital security measures of GitHub in 2026. So I want to leave you with a provocative audit challenge to take back to your teams today. Ask yourself, is your organization currently paying a fortune for submerged, unmonitored GitHub add-ons and active committer fees? And more importantly, despite all that spend, are you leaving your enterprise code completely exposed by failing to enforce basic access and secret management protocols? It is time to open up your billing dashboard and audit those repositories. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.